Why do I look like this? Anyways, welcome to episode 3 of the JCU Presents. This episode is going to be talking about conditional representation in the Black community, how Black excellence is really just Black exceptionalism, and it's going to be within the context of arts and entertainment. So for those of you who don't know, this figure right here in New York City of a Black woman, this bronze statue, has gone viral all over TikTok. So this was made by Thomas J. Price. He is a sculptor, and this statue just went viral. But this statue has been in London and it has been in LA. But it's in New York City, one of the most populous cities in the world. So it went super viral online, on the news, everything. And there's been a lot of, I want to say, vitriol and a little bit of just like visceral, like vitriolic and visceral reactions to it. So we're going to start talking about some of the reactions of what we've seen so far, because I think it's kind of crazy. Because you know me. I got some notes. All right. So first of all, let's start with Thomas J. Price, the artist. So Thomas J. Price is a British sculptor, and this statue is not specifically of any ethnicity. It's a Black woman. And I think a lot of the, I want to say consensus, I don't want to say the common consensus, but something that I've been seeing a lot is that it's a depiction of an average Black woman. But when I went on the Times Square, New York City, like official article that interviews him and like explains what the statue is, it just says that it's basically a Black woman. It's not like an average depiction. Like this is like the average Black woman. This is supposed to represent the average Black woman. And this is not the first statue that he's done. This is like a 12-foot statue, but it's not the first statue that he's done. There's multiple ones that he's done with Black women, Black men, in like multiple different shapes and sizes. All right. So here's some of the critiques that I've been seeing of the statue. Number 1, that she's mammy-like. Number 2, that she's fat, but that sort of goes into the mammy thing. That she's ugly. That why is our representation ugly? That she looks aggressive. The stance is weird. She's not wearing a bra. That they're taking Black women as a joke. Her clothes aren't fitting her or flattering her. She could have been thin or curvy or both. She could have been someone of importance. Why are Black people always politicized? Why don't they make statues of white people, Asians, of Latinos like this? When we see other races represented, they're at their best. Why aren't Black people shown at their best? Blah, blah, blah. So those are like the top ones that I've seen that I've, I scoured the internet for some of these critiques. And I have basically gone through so many comment sections and everything. And this is like everything that I've seen. So let's talk about it. So, let's start with the mammy stuff. And I think calling her a mammy is a little crazy. If for you guys who don't know what a mammy is a stereotype of Black women that arose in the 19th century, I believe, with the rise of entertainment. It arose in the 19th century, and it's supposed to be a caricature that is decontextualized from the actual history of what it's supposed to be representing. So mammies are typically subservient to especially white people, but especially white women, they have a very mother-like personality, and they're usually full-figured Black women, like they're usually big, they're usually fat. That's how they're represented, and their personalities are very dumbed down, very one-dimensional, very rudimentary. And an example of a mammy would be, I believe it's Gone with the Wind. The first Black woman to ever win an Oscar, I think the first Black person to ever win an Oscar, was, I forgot her name. Let me look it up really quickly. First Black woman to win an Oscar. Okay. Yes, I was right. So Gone with the Wind. So Hattie McDaniel won best supporting actress for playing a mammy in Gone with the Wind. And I think a lot of people see a fat woman and they are associating her with a mammy. If you don't know the history about Black women being wet nurses for white women's children, then I don't think it is within your range to call somebody like who is modeled after a real person that I feel words mean things. Like words mean things. So I think, first of all, a lot of the critiques are internalized anti-Blackness. And they're coming from people who are afraid that white people are going to speak badly about something that is a highly visible Black woman. And it's like, you already beat them to the punch. That's why I say it's internalized anti-Blackness. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that white supremacy is a psychological ideology part of white supremacy is psychological. And you don't need white people for anti-Blackness. Y'all got it. Like, you got it. And the reason why I say that is because your responses is exactly how white people do already treat Black people. But again, so it's that concept of you don't need the master to be there. You don't need the master to be there to enforce the master's rules. Like, okay. And so let's go back to this concept of her, or this idea, like this her being fat. A lot of people disliked her being fat because obviously fat phobia. Like, they feel like whenever Black women are represented is like they're fat. And it's just like, why are we associating fatness with being bad? Oh, and then one thing I want to point out, I forgot to say before, is that mammies are intentionally desexualized to make Black women seem undesirable. And I think that also goes along with fatness. A lot of people are perceiving her as undesirable. And my question is, why does she need to be desirable in order for her to be visible? I just want you to ask yourself that. And I feel like I know what the answer is, but I'm just saying it anyway. I'm just proposing the answer anyways. Proposing the question anyways. Let's see, where's my notes? Okay, what's next? All right. I personally think that she is beautiful. And I think that we're moving with the assumption that she's like average. And I just think it's like, when I look at her, I'm not measuring her on a scale like of ugly to average to good looking. I just think she's a person. And I think we get so caught up in this like 0 to 10 like rating, like a scale, the system of having a scale to judge things, that we don't look at things as they are, you know? And I don't know. And you have this idea of just like her being ugly. Again, she just looks, and the thing is, they also said that she looks aggressive, and I think her face is neutral, and I think a lot of people associate neutrality with aggressiveness or anger, and I think I'm pretty biased about this, like, with aggressiveness or anger, and I think I'm pretty biased about this, like, this. I'm pretty biased about this, like, this is this is something that is like, damn it, I might have to pause this live. Hold on. I might have to start over. Let me end the live. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's like, it's a very smooth transition. You're like, you're like, get to the point. But if you're watching this live, you're like, where'd you go? But anyways, let's get back to it. I believe where we were was where were we? Okay. I believe I was talking about conditional representation and why the question a lot of people are asking is, why is our representation ugly? Again, she's not ugly. So I don't even agree with that, but let's say she was ugly. Why does it matter that she's ugly? Is it because you care how she's perceived? Who is the audience? And why do you care why do you care about the audience's opinion of her? Like, if you are confident in all forms of blackness, if you care about all forms of blackness, why does it matter if it's ugly, fat, or any other marginalized identity or your perceived imperfection? Who are we performing for, and why do we want their applause? One of the things that I saw that said, somebody said, why is our representation always ugly? And then they mentioned an actress, a fat black actress, and Danielle Brooks from Orange is the New Black. And, she's also in the Color Purple remake, and she's in the Minecraft movie. I believe her name is Danielle Brooks. And they're like, even in Orange is the New Black, we get this like fat representation because there's multiple fat black women in Orange is the New Black. And when those people are represented, they are viciously attacked for their stature, for their shape, for their size. And when you look at all of the mainstream, because this art is now mainstream, the way that it's gone viral, this art is now mainstream. So if you take a look at the representation of black women in like the popular and like pop culture, the most famous black person you know, black woman, Beyonce, Rihanna, Halle Bailey, Chloe Bailey, Tiana Taylor. These are just like off the top of my head. These are some of the most famous black women you know, and something in common is they're either very light skinned or they're very skinny. Or they're very skinny, they're not fat at all. And it's just like, when it comes, the black woman you see here is not the black woman that is represented in mainstream popular media. So to say that this look is always being pushed is inaccurate. But I understand why people have that perspective. if you don't venture outside of popular media. If you don't look at art and little like if you don't look at the arts, go to museums, or if you look at entertainment and you're only really watching what's popular, you don't see the shows that are a little less popular still good, then you would know that there are women who look like this in these shows. Another thing that people have said is that she looks aggressive. I know I talked about this. I know I said this before, but I was looking up, one of the points that I was gearing up to show you guys was that neutralness is usually perceived as aggressiveness if you are typically an aggressive or an angry person. So neutrality as aggression. Neutrality as aggression, like perceived neutrality. Perceived neutrality as aggression. Why do people see neutral? Because I feel like her face is very neutral. Why do people see neutrality as aggression in faces? I don't add people to lives who I'm not like who are not my mutuals. So if you guys like request to join live with me, if you guys try to like join live with me, I'm not gonna accept you if you're not a mutual. It's for my own safety, and also like this is half me going live and half me posting for YouTube, and my content is planned. So I have a whole thing I want to go, and I don't want to be derailed by other conversation. I want to stick to my script. Okay. Yeah, so the NIH said like there's evidence here. So if you guys want to look up the NIH, the trait anger is due to there's evidence that people evaluate neutral faces in a negative way as sad, threatening, or cold. And I know I'm not like super like researching into this like I should, when it comes to research, you're supposed to have multiple sources, cite your sources. I don't feel like doing that right now. I won't lie to you guys. I just don't feel like it. Am I confirming my own bias right now? Absolutely. and I'm unashamed. But I genuinely feel like it's not even just that. I genuinely feel like we do perceive neutrality as anger. So like you have this idea like if somebody's face is like this. We even have this idea of like RBF. I feel like that like whenever I did like people will ask me if I'm mad, if I'm just like, and I feel like I'm neutral, and then people perceive me as angry. And I feel like this happens to everybody. I don't know. Do you agree? Do you not agree? But people are also calling her, saying that it's a weird stance, like her stance. And I'm just like, I feel like she's holding her hands on her hips. And if you don't know anything about like art, the pose is there's a little bit of contrapposto in the art, in the posing. And I don't want to call it a technique. I want to call it a style. So it's a style in art. So like if you know anything about, Bernini, David, I think his name is, I don't remember his first name, but Bernini, the artist Bernini, who made art during the Baroque era of art, which is directly after the Renaissance era. He has his own statue of David, just like Michelangelo does, but it's made of bronze. And a lot of people call it say it uses that like contrapposto style. So again, I feel like there's a lot of opinions, but not a lot of, but there's opinions. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of ignorance and no curiosity, which is like, when there are opinions with no curiosity, it's just ignorance. It's literally just ignorance. Weird stance. So we've covered that. Another thing is people think that she's not wearing a bra. And I understand why people are saying that, but I don't know if it's because there's a shadow on her, like on her, where her bra is supposed to be, like on this place right here. But I actually do think she is wearing a bra. I think she just has large breasts. So it looks like she's not wearing a bra. And I think that, like, because her chest is protruding, the light is catching on her chest. Like, you know, on her is catching on her, you know, on her breast. So it looks like she's not wearing a bra because it's protruding so much. But I actually think she is wearing one. Her boobs don't look like it's sagging at all or anything like that. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like there is, again, there's just like a little bit of a lack of knowledge here. And even if she wasn't wearing a bra, I'm not wearing a bra right now. And and there are consequences for that. When the first time I decided to not wear a bra, I was in I think the 8th or 7th grade. And the reason why I didn't wear a bra was because we did like breast cancer awareness, and they're like, don't wear a bra. And until that moment, and of course I did breast cancer awareness because my grandmother had breast cancer. So I was like, oh my God, I would love to do this. And the moment I didn't wear a bra, I didn't realize how free and uncomfortable I felt, because I didn't realize that I was uncomfortable until I didn't wear a bra for 24 hours. And ever since then, like, I'd been wearing bras on and off. So from 7th to 10th grade, I was wearing bras on and off. And then in 10th grade, I was like, fuck it. I'm just not wearing a bra. And, ever since then, there has been mad sheer consequences. There's always consequences to actions. You just have to choose your reality. I either have the reality of being uncomfortable wearing bras, or I have the reality of people judging me for not wearing bras. And I accept that reality. I accept that reality. And I don't want to... And people have touched my breasts because I didn't wear a bra, or to check to see if I'm wearing a bra, or they'll be like, or they'll just look at me very disappointed. Multiple people will come up to me and be like, oh, you don't wear a bra, you don't wear a bra. Or they'll try to lecture me about it. My grandmother herself has lectured me about it. Like, it's a whole thing. Personally, if we're talking about representation, she represents me if she's not wearing a bra, but I actually think she is. Another thing I see people saying is that her shirt is ill-fitting. And again, if you don't know anything about art, I am an artist. If you guys, there are ripples in her top. Because if you know anything about fabric bunches when you move. Even if you are wearing a bra. Fabric bunches in certain places, and it has folds. Fabric has folds. And based on the material, she's probably wearing a cotton shirt. And the cotton is definitely one of those and I'm wearing a cotton shirt too. Cotton is definitely one of those pieces of fabric that is going to fold like that. You know? And I think her clothes fit fine. It even drapes in certain areas. Like on her arm, there's enough space. If it was too tight, then you wouldn't see that there was enough space for it to drape. There would be no space for it to drape if it was too tight. And there's on her arm right here, there's like a little, you see there's a little pocket right there. There's a little space in it. Because there's enough space, because it does fit. Let me pull up a full body, yeah, so, okay, so I'm just gonna pull this up for a second. And again, even with pants, I think the pants are form-fitting, but I don't think they're too tight. In the crotch area, again, like fabric bunches. Even if the clothes, like, I think she's just wearing skinny jeans or something like that. Fabric bunches at the crotch. Like, if when it comes to pants, if you draw pants, if you sculpt pants, you're always gonna notice there's gonna be bunching in those areas. And I feel like people who don't understand art will immediately say it doesn't fit her. I think if it fits her, it could be a little looser, sure, but I honestly don't see a problem with that. And I feel like there is a expectation, like there are people who care that she's fat, and there's people who care that there are black people who care that she's fat, and there's black people who don't care that she's fat. And I feel like the people who care that she's fat are going to say that her clothes are ill-fitting, but there are black people who don't care that she's fat and they still think her clothes could have been better. And my thing is, like, again, why is our representation conditional? Why are we telling the artist that maybe he should have done this, or maybe he should have put another one of his sculptures, because he has multiple sculptures. Maybe he should have put another one of his sculptures up instead of putting this one, because this one, there are too many tiny imperfections in it. And my thing is, if you look, again, I actually didn't read it, but I will read it. I'm going to read the description on the New York Times website. Not New York Times, Times Square NYC website, of what the intent of this art was supposed to be. And I'm only reading this because a lot of people are imposing intent on him, and I don't think that is correct. I think as an artist, once you release your art, the art is no longer yours, and even your interpretation is not the final interpretation. I think what I'm doing here is I'm challenging a lot of I'm challenging the rhetoric that I think is negative. I'm not saying that the artist has the final say on his own piece, but what I am saying is that I agree with his interpretation of his own art. I agree with his intent. I think so I'm just gonna read it here. On the Times Square New York City website, it says, in conjunction, Times Square Art will also present Price's stop motion animations Man series on the district's billboards nightly in May as part of the Midnight Moment program. Price's multi-channel representation on the screens and sculptural installation on the plaza below forms a two-part takeover in Times Square that foregrounds the intrinsic value of the individual and amplifies traditionally marginalized bodies on a monumental scale. I'm just going to read that last part again. A two-part takeover in Times Square that foregrounds the intrinsic value of individual and amplifies traditionally marginalized bodies on a monumental scale. So there's this idea of the intrinsic value of the individual, and also representing marginalized bodies. She is a fat black woman. She is in a marginalized body, and based off the reaction, he is absolutely there. You're approving the marginalization of fat black bodies. All right, and I want to talk about this idea of the intrinsic value of the individual. I think we as black people, we get mad when one black person acts out and it's on the entire black community. It's like one black person will do something wrong, and it's like, let's say one black person robs a store or something like that, and it's just like, oh yeah, all black people rob the store. And we know that idea of black people not being able to be individuals is a faucet of white supremacy. So I want to take that and apply it to this. How is saying that she is a representation of all black women and not just a black woman, not a faucet of white supremacy? And I don't even think she's a bad representation of black women. I just think she's a black woman. I don't even think this is supposed to be representation. I don't think it's supposed to be representation. I think it's, again, the intrinsic value of the individual. She is an individual. Look at her as an individual. If you saw her and you saw this artist trying to represent all black women, I feel like that's on you and not the artist. I think that's on you and not the artist. So, I don't know. Okay, we still got more to talk about. Let's see. I'm just going to change back so you guys can see the top of my bonnet. He also says, let's see. All right. So this artwork is a part of a series called Grounded in the Stars. And this is a direct quote from the artist. I hope Grounded in the Stars and Man series, because he has 2 installations in New York, will instigate meaningful connections and bind intimate emotional states that allow for deeper reflection around the human condition and greater cultural diversity. So one of the things that people were calling for was that, one, she should have been curvy, which is not a beauty standard that is rooted in white supremacy, being curvy. If you know anything about the early 2000s, being curvy and having a fat ass was completely rejected by white America. You watch Sex in the City or I don't know, any movie that came out in the early 2000s, they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is like my butt look big, my butt is so big. I think the outlook, I think we're in a BBL epidemic, so it's definitely different now. How society looks at curviness is definitely different now. But back in the early 2000s, it was seen as a sin to be curvy and have a big butt. Even, there's an interview with Beyonce when she talks about like not being able to be styled by major artists, when she was in Destiny's Child. And no, this is like, yeah, when she was in Destiny's Child, she talks about her and the girls, and she's like, yeah, they weren't gonna style 3 country curvy girls from Houston. And it's like, that just goes back to that whole standard. I think wanting her to be curvy is indicative of Black diaspora beauty standards. But I think not wanting her to be fat is still informed by white supremacy, because curviness and fat and being fat are 2 separate things, because you could be curvy and not fat. You could be curvy and fat. So I think it just depends the context of how you want her to be curvy. But I think in the context of 2025, I think people wanted her to be like an hourglass. I think that's what it is. Another part of the Times Square, New York City article says about this is, grounded in the stars, disrupts traditional ideas around what defines a triumphant figure and challenges who should be rendered immortal through monumentalization. So a lot of people think that because of how she looks, she should not be represented. She should not be represented, or they feel like this is not the average Black woman, blah 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 blah. I think, honestly, I'm tired of like representation conversations in the context of representation has to look this way, because it no longer becomes representation. It's like self-serving. It's beauty. It's white beauty standards. It's all this like representation. The goalpost is always moved with representation, because because you know what's so funny? People will talk about and be like, why is it always these light-skinned thin black women getting all these roles, like Zendaya or Gugu Batsuba or Amanda Stembler? Like, why is it always the skinny, this, that, and the third? And it's just like, now you have a representation of a big woman, and it's like, nah, put her back in the cage, or get back to the art room and sculpt it again. So I just feel like there's definitely a contradiction here. You know, another thing is that they're saying that she's a joke. I think that we have to, I feel like a lot of Black people just see themselves and they're always worried about what other people are thinking. I don't even think that's specific to Black people, but I'm talking about discourse within the Black community. But I feel like they're just so worried about what other people think, or what, especially specifically white people, or not just white people, non-Black people. So that includes Asians and non-Black Latinos. So I just think it's so ironic. I just think it's so ironic because it's like, you want to be socially accepted, but only if what is being represented is good representation and the dominant group is not discriminatory against said representation. And a lot of people are making these comments. She's a mammy. They're calling her fat in a derogatory way. And they're worried about what white people are saying, and they're just saying, and white people haven't even said these things yet. Because here's the thing, no matter what level of success or visibility that Black people have, they're always going to be judged. Even Beyonce, even Rihanna, judged for who they are, no matter what levels of success they reach. They're never going to be enough, even being Beyonce being as light-skinned, as loose her curls are, and all these different things. No matter how much she intentionally or unintentionally conforms to Eurocentric beauty standards, she's still not enough for white people. And to me, that just tells me that I should just be myself anyways, or I should just accept everything about myself anyways. Yeah. I think we're just too worried about what the dominant group thinks. And it's just like, and if you feel like you wouldn't go out looking like this statue, or you wouldn't let yourself feel like this, it's like, okay, that's fine if you don't want to look like that, but why are you, should it not be seen? Should it not have visibility? Because some people do go out in a t-shirt and jeans. And yeah, people do go out in a t-shirt and jeans. If she doesn't represent you, that's fine. If she doesn't represent you, that's fine. But if Black people are always claiming that we're not a monolith, then why can't she just be an individual? The representation of her, why can't this statue, why does the statue have to be a representation? Why can't it just be an individual statue that represents one type of one Black woman? It doesn't have to represent all Black women. It's just a Black woman. Okay. All right. And back to the whole thing that, like, wanting her, I feel like I covered the whole thin and curvy thing. Another thing is that if they were going to represent a fat woman, why couldn't they, or if they were going to represent any Black woman in general, why couldn't they represent somebody of importance? Somebody like Harriet Tubman or Madam C.J. Walker. And my response to that is, they're built just like her. So, and then, of course, because representation is so conditional for the audience, the goalpost is moved. The goalpost is moved, and it's like, oh, at least Madam C.J. Walker has done something of importance. At least Harriet Tubman is an important historical figure. Love Harriet Tubman. That's my queen. I'm from Maryland. There are statues of Harriet Tubman in Maryland. There are statues of Black women in Maryland. Dominique Dawes, there's a statue of Dominique Dawes in downtown Silver Spring. And she's one of before Gabby Douglas, there was Dominique Dawes. Like, she's a gymnast. Like, that's her. And my thing is, like, do you only deserve to be represented if you have done something? So I feel like this statue is telling us that your worth is not defined by your actions, even the mundane or the unremarkable. And I don't even like those words to describe this statue. I would actually call her the ignored. I would call her ignored. Do the backbones of society, no matter how they look, deserve to be monumentalized? Because she's 12 feet tall. Do they deserve to be monumentalized? Do they deserve to be represented? And I think the answer is yes, because he did it. I think and it's like, like, and then somebody brought a point up in one of the comment sections that I was looking at, that I really liked. And the person said, why do, let's say somebody was representing disabled people, right? And if your point is only people of worth, or only people who have done something are able to be represented, then is Stephen Hawking the only disabled person who should be represented? And I thought that ate so bad, because it's like, this statue is directly contradicting what we as a society, popular society, I will say, and the reason why I say popular society is because regular people are represented in art all the time. I just think that this piece of art has broken into the mainstream, and a lot of people are not used to that. So they see this piece of art and they feel like, and they feel like this is it, this is everything. But it's just like, no, regular people are represented in art all the time. Even in, and a lot of people will, and then another thing is that, they're like, okay, why are Black people always politicized? First of all art is political. All art is political. Doesn't matter what you're representing. All art is, it has some underlying meaning, is meant to spark conversation, discussion, everything. It's just that a lot of people are not engaged in this form of art. I don't think they are engaged in this form of art. A lot of people don't go to the museum or know anything about statues. Venus of Willendorf, even the Venus of Willendorf, that's a fat woman. What's another fat woman? There's Rubenism. There's Rubenism, which is a whole, if for something to be Rubenesque means it's literally fat and curvy and beautiful. Or it's either or. Not even curvy, just like fat and beautiful. Yeah, and particularly by the sculptor, he literally has multiple pieces like this. Literally multiple pieces. And it's just like, there's a lot of opinions, but not curiosity and research. Again, opinions without research and curiosity is ignorance. Willful ignorance. Willful ignorance. And it's like, there are so many there, and if you look at Fernando Botero's work, look at and then not that she's fat, but look at Frida Kahlo's work. look at let's see. There is, like, people have been making art about regular people for centuries, and I think a lot of people's frame of reference for like statues specifically is Michelangelo's David, or just like anything from the Renaissance. And it's just like, he is not the Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, all of them people, the Ninja Turtles. I can't remember the names off the top of my head right now. They are not the only artists ever, but they're so popular that they transcend their niche and they go to mainstream that regular people outside of that niche know them. That's how popular it is. It's like nobody knowing anime, but you know who Pikachu is. Because Pikachu transcends nerd culture. But yeah. Or Goku or Sailor Moon. And another thing is like, do they make statues of white people and Asian people like this? Yes, they actually do. They do. You just haven't seen them yet. You just haven't seen them because nobody has made a fuss about it and you haven't researched it. And again, we're looking at ourselves. It's like, if white people can do it, why can't we do it? And it's just like, why do you guys want to conform to the same standards as white people? Pieta is beautiful. Pieta is very beautiful. Pieta's beautiful. But it's this idea. It's just like, if white people can do it, why can't we do it? And it's just like, or why they don't represent white women like this. And it's just like, that's a problem. Like, I remember one of my favorite posts online is like, somebody who didn't understand misogyny and didn't understand like beauty standards, because beauty standards are for men. Men have beauty standards too. So when there was this post of Chris Hemsworth, and he's muscled up, he's veiny, like he's dehydrated. You could see his nucleus. You could see the mitochondria. You could see the powerhouse of the cell, because this man is so damn muscular. And they're like, in this post, it was so close, but it was so far. And it was like, but men have to do all this, and you don't see men complaining. But women are always complaining about beauty standards imposed on them. And I'm just like, it's an issue on both sides. And what I'm basically the point I'm trying to make here is just like, apply it to them. If you think of the most famous white women, They unintentionally or intentionally, they conform to certain beauty standards. Think of Angelina Jolie. She's been skinny my entire life. Skinny, face chiseled my entire life. I love Angelina Jolie. Like, even when she was pregnant, chiseled to the gods. To the gods. And it's a problem. And think of the most famous fat white women you know, and think of the most famous black women you know. They are attacked. Think of Monique. Think of Melissa McCarthy. Think of Roseanne. Think of Rebel Wilson. You know, before the weight loss, they were attacked. They're like, there's no winning in white supremacy, fat phobia, patriarchy. There's no winning for anybody. Nobody wins. There's no such thing as a perfect person in the eyes of white supremacy. There's no such thing as a perfect person even outside of white supremacy. There's no such thing. Like, white supremacy literally affects everybody, white people included. Like, like, and a lot of people don't get that. They don't get that. So I don't like this argument. If white people can be so should black people? It's like, no, you're missing the point. You're so close but so far, so close but so, like, you grazed the point. You grazed it, you know. And it's like, ugh, it makes me and then brings me to not my last point, because I have many points to make, but my next point is, why aren't black people shown at their best? Again, think of the most famous black person you know. Who's on tour? That lady is on tour right now, and I'm gonna go see her multiple times. That lady on tour right now. The other lady is pregnant, and she's the Avon lady. She was just at the Met Gala. Coco Jones, yes, she's dark skinned again, but but if you want to talk about famous black women, I know she's not that, like, she's not like super famous, but like another skinny, socially acceptable levels of skinny, thin, or should I say, no, I shouldn't say skinny, I should say thin. And it's like, again, what is black women at their best? And why do they have to be at their best all the time? If you as a black person feel like black people can never just be, then shouldn't you accept black women if they're at their best, at their worst? And I'm not even saying this, and I don't even agree that I'm not judging her on a sliding scale. But why should what you deem is undesirable not be visible just because you're uncomfortable with it? This artist held up a mirror. Actually, I don't even think so. This artist definitely held up a mirror. Unintentionally or intentionally, he held up a mirror. And a lot of y'all anti-blackness is just coming out. It's coming out. Like, and the thing is, I don't blame you for your anti-blackness. But I do blame the people who are online and disparaging the artist, I saw a petition telling them to take it down. First of all, it's going to be down in June. It's not going to stay up there forever. It's going to people just being mean, you know? I feel like if you had internalized anti-blackness, internalized fat phobia and all that stuff, hey, I get it. I understand the society which we live in, but you have no right to act on it. You don't. You can, but I can't stop you. But I don't like it, and it's disappointing to see the comments that you guys are making about this statue. I feel like the sculptor is saying XYZ. You feeling that way is a choice. If you got all these things, mammy, fat, ugly, undesirable, unattractive, God forbid a black woman be attractive, if you got all that just by looking at the statue, who said that? You or him? How are you not pulling from your own internal mirror? if you saw this lady, let's say she was a person, because she was modeled after a real person. Let's say you saw somebody who looked exactly like this in person. What are you going to say to this person? You probably wouldn't say anything. But it's like, art holds up a mirror much in society. So whatever is dormant is going to be released and reflected when you see art. Like your beliefs is going to be reflected when you see art. You would probably ignore their existence. Exactly, Dre Benzie. You would ignore their existence. But this is a 12-foot bronze statue in the middle of Times Square, and that's why I say this is a representation of the ignored, because because it's you can't ignore it. It's hard to. You know what's funny? Before all this discourse, I saw her and I was like, oh, whatever. And then I scrolled, and then I kept seeing it. And then I kept seeing the discourse, and then I looked at it myself and I was like, what is the problem? I was like, what is the problem? And the thing is, I don't think she's I don't know. A lot of this is respectability politics. I do believe a lot of this is respectability politics. And it's respectability politics and wanting to perform for the white gaze, or the non-black gaze too, not even just white people. Wanting to seem perfect in the eyes, or desirable in the eyes of non-black people. And a lot of people are bringing up the point of Annie from Sinners, because there was a whole uproar with Wunmi Mosaku, you know, the actress who plays Annie. And she is a full-figured fat black woman. And she's beautiful. And a lot of people were saying that, oh, they saw the chemistry with Stack and Mary, but not Smoke and Annie. And Annie is an auntie. She looks like an auntie. She looks like one of my mom. There's no attraction there. And a lot of people were defending Annie and Wunmi Mosaku. And it just goes to show that it's like, when y'all biases really show, when a mirror is held up to you, like if this was a test, y'all failed. You know, if this is a test, you guys failed. You can see her walk in a Walmart. The thing is, a lot of people are trying to humanize her and say, oh, this could be, you know, the statue. A lot of people are saying, oh, if this was your aunt, if this is your mom, like, this could be your aunt, your mom, your sister. And I'm just like, we have this tendency to humanize people by displaying proximity, but why can't we just humanize people for the sake of being human? Like you said, Dre, she could be somebody in Walmart. She could be somebody at Target, at Kohl's. She could literally, like, yeah. And I totally understand what you mean. My mom, my sister don't deserve to be celebrated. Like, why does she first of all, she doesn't have to be someone. She doesn't have to be desirability in your perspective. She doesn't have to be desirable in your perspective. She doesn't have to be your mom or your aunt. She is just a person. And I think personhood is being celebrated here. It is being celebrated with black women, which I think is with a black woman, which I think is amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I really like sculpture, is because she's not anybody astronomical, or we don't know if she's astronomical. That's the thing. We don't know if she's exceptional. And she's not, we don't know anything about her, and she's being celebrated. And it's showing that your worth, and I think to me, it shows that our worth is inherent. And it doesn't have to be earned. As black people, it doesn't have to be earned. She doesn't have to be Madam C.J. Walker. She doesn't have to be Beyonce. She doesn't have to be Harriet Tubman. She doesn't have to be Dominique Dawes. She doesn't have to be Gabby Douglas. She doesn't have to be Rihanna. She doesn't have to be Oprah. She doesn't have to be Monique. She's just a person. And she exists. and she's being monumentalized. And I think that is beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I think this goes to show that a lot of people's reactions, I keep saying that, a lot of people, people's reactions show that this is not about Black excellence or wanting Black excellence. It's about wanting Black exceptionalism, which is white supremacy. Black excellence is Black exceptionalism is white supremacy. Because Black excellence was never about Black excellence. It was about being exceptional within the white supremacy power structure. Blackness comes in all shapes and sizes, and then when they literally show you that, there is a visceral reaction. She's mundane, and it's a problem. And you want idealized. It's the mundane versus idealized. Again, I don't even see her as mundane. I just see her as a person. But there's this idea of the mundane versus the idealized. Because y'all want an idealized form of a Black person that, and again, it exists under that exists under the white supremacy power structure. Because if she was a curvy Black woman with a big butt, no waist, she would still be judged by white people. But she is not that. That's why I put Black exceptionalism right here, because she'll never be white. And as long as there's a little bit of conformity, it's okay. As long as she's okay in the eyes of just Black people underneath the guise of white supremacy, I feel like I don't know if I'm explaining this right, then she's okay. Because if she had that BBL body or whatever and everything, and like slim, if she was slim thick, she would have been perfect for all Black people. But she's not. She goes outside of a Black desirability and white desirability, because Black desirability within the United States, I will say, does not include fatness without curviness. It doesn't. It does not. Fat phobia is white supremacy. Full stop. Like, one of the theories that I have, I'm gonna trademark this, but conditional representation. Conditional representation is the idea that a marginalized group is expected to be perfect, and even when it conforms to beauty standards, the goal of representation is changed because no one can ever be perfect underneath the white supremacist structure. Yeah. Thank you, Ren. Thank you. I was like, I wasn't sure. Because sometimes I talk so much, I'm not even sure if I make sense. Is this my Ren 10? Or is it just a different Ren? No, it's not. Hello, Ren that I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, conditional representation / representation theory. It's never going to be enough, because under white supremacy, capitalism, and patriarchy, nobody benefits from all of these things in totality. There's no one person that benefits from all these in totality. So in the long run, the goalpost is always going to be moved. Because underneath white supremacy, nobody is the perfect idealized thing. Nobody. That is the issue with white supremacy. Is that it's like a monster. White supremacy is like a monster that just got out of control, and you can no longer control it. Because even white men are affected by white supremacy. They are. White women are too. Black women, everybody. Yes, it's about how, because whiteness as an idea, like, yes, Ren says it's just about how close to whiteness you can get, but it's not achievable. Even the whitest think of the most white of white men, because white men, because here's the thing about white men, right? When it comes to patriarchy, white men are not perceived as masculine as black men are. So white men are not really men, because again, whiteness is just an idea. It is not attainable. Like, black men are hyper masculinized because of white supremacy, and white men are under masculinize themselves because of white supremacy. Because you can get so close to whiteness, but you will never achieve absolute whiteness, because white supremacy is an unattainable ideology. That is it. Oh, one thing that I did not mention before is that we can never let black people just be. And there's this idea that because she's fat, that she's promoting obesity or this or that. And my thing is, why does somebody's existence equal promotion? You feel me? Existence is not equal promotion. You're not letting somebody be by saying that, oh, this is what they do to Lizzo. This is what they do to Lizzo. Like, they're like, oh, she's promoting unhealthy lifestyle. Why? If you think this statue's existence implies any of the things that I just mentioned, that's your own projection and nothing else. One represents all is a white supremacist take. The idea of one black woman representing all black women is a white supremacist take. Like, not allowing black people to be individuals is a white supremacist take, and it's being perpetuated by the black community as we speak with the discourse. And obviously, it's internalized anti-blackness. But the people who are defending her, I want to, to shout that out. The people who are defending her are black too. So it's like us versus us type of thing. And I'm not saying that there are people who do try to disparage black people. Absolutely. With by representing them in certain ways. There's the Jezebel, there's the Mammy, there's the Sapphire, there's the Uncle Tom, there's so many like stereotypes for black people. But I don't think it's the case with this. This is the ultimate form of humanization, in my opinion. Because it's celebrating the ignored, and it's celebrating normalcy. When we see black women outside the norm, we tend to reject it. You're gonna follow me, yay! But it's crickets when they're supporting whatever the liquor of the month. What is the liquor of the month right now? Is it Douce? It's something else. I feel like it's something else. Ciroc? No, it's not Ciroc. That was like years ago. The liquor of the month. What's the liquor of the month right now? It's not Douce. It's something else. But I can't remember. Thank you for joining the live, Ren. I appreciate you. I'm actually going to post this entire thing on YouTube. Don Julio. It is Don Julio. Ah! I knew it is Don Julio. Put out that Don Julio after Julio. Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people look to the mainstream for representation, and I think that representation actually exists if you look for it. Because if you look for representation, I actually think most of it exists outside of the mainstream. And when black women are mainstream, they are seldom unpolished. They're very. It's like as close again. It's as close to whiteness as you can get. What else can I say? Okay, So I feel like I've said everything. A lot of my notes are me restating things I've already said. Again, I said opinions without questions and research is willful ignorance. Critique without initiative is also ignorance. Yeah. And I think a lot of what is happening is ignorance and anti-blackness. Ignorance to the art world. Go to an art museum. Go to an art museum. Please. I'm begging you. Please go to an art museum. or there are virtual, if you can't go to an art museum, there are virtual art exhibits. Go online. Please search it. One of the biggest things, I usually don't talk about like art specifically, like statues and oil paintings and different things like that. I usually don't talk about that stuff. I usually talk about entertainment art. Technically all art is entertainment, but anyways, but whatever, you know what I mean. So in the next portion of this video, I'm going to talk about popular entertainment, and I'm going to talk about how the concepts that I've already talked about is related to Black excellence / black, which is really Black exceptionalism, being a facet of white supremacy, and how Black people already have representation in entertainment. You're just lazy. Okay. So we're going to talk about more entertainment things. So I'm going to switch over from talking about the statue. I'm still going to refer to the statue, but I am not going to specifically talk about it. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I have any pictures of any like Black cartoon character or anything like that in my phone. I probably do. That's the funny thing. You know what? Let me put up. Should I put up a Sinners? You know what? For now, I think I'll switch out. I'll switch them out. But I'll put up something that I consider to be Black excellence, even though it's not recognized in the mainstream. So what I'm posting here is Invincible Fight Girl. And it's one of my animated shows that I really enjoy. It's an animated show that came out late last year, like December, that I really enjoy. I think it was like December or November. And I really enjoy it, and I really wanted to talk about it. And I felt like it wasn't getting enough attention. And the reason why I was sad that it wasn't getting enough attention is because attention equals renewal, especially with animation. And it's not getting attention, not because it's not good, but one, people don't care about Black media and people don't care about animation. So wrap that up in one. And you get one season of this, one season of that, one season of this. And the thing that sort of sparked this whole Black excellence / exceptionalism being white supremacy was I saw a lot of people complaining about Black TV shows getting canceled, or Black TV shows being about stereotypes. And I think this is true if you only look to the mainstream, right? This is true if you only look to the mainstream. Invincible Fight Girl is not a mainstream Black animation. It's not a mainstream animation, period. I would say the most mainstream animation that has come out in like in the past year is Invincible. Just Invincible. And I feel like people do not venture outside of their comfort zone. They don't look for representation if it doesn't fall in their lap. They're not searching Black TV shows that came out in 2025, animation that has come out in 2025 or 2024 or whatever. they're expecting it to reach a certain level of, not even expecting it. They're actually not even thinking at all. And that's my problem with some of y'all. Some of y'all don't think. Some of y'all don't have initiative. A lot of you guys, it's convenient when a show like Abbott Elementary that is so popular, a black TV show that is so popular, y'all feel like it's the only black TV show that's popular, which is not true. Or y'all feel like it's the only good black show that has no stereotypes, blah, 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 that is out right now. When it comes to good black TV shows, you feel like Abbott Elementary is the only TV show. And it's like, no, there are so many other black TV shows that are out. And then, like, black leads do not make up a big percent. In 2024, they did not make, I think it was like 13% of TV shows had black leads. And I'm getting hot. Oh my God. I'm getting hot. Give me 1 second. I need a fan. I'm getting hot. Like, I don't want an electric fan to mess up my audio for the people who are going to watch this on YouTube or Substack. So I'm just going to use a manual fan. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So, where was I? Yeah, a lot of people don't take initiative to go look for the things that they're asking for. What you seek is seeking you. What you seek is seeking you. So if you're looking for a black TV show that doesn't have any stereotypes, sorry, I don't go live with people who I don't know. But yeah, so if you're looking for a black TV show that doesn't have stereotypes, or is just like, you know, really cool, just like about the black, not necessarily about the black experience, but if you're just looking for representation, Invincible Fight Girl is one of those shows. And yes, it is animated, and I understand that a lot of people don't like animation, which I think the reason why people don't like animation is because of bias. And because of ignorance, actually. A lot of people perceive animation as a children's genre, and it's not a genre, it's a medium. So I think a lot of children's media tends to be animation, but children's media doesn't equal animation. There's live action children's television, like Sesame Street, or and I know that's like puppetry, so let me give a better example. Lazy Town, the Big Comfy Couch Show. There's a lot of live action children's media. So children's media does not equal animation. And then vice versa, there is, why do y'all do this? I hate, oh my God. They have me sliding puzzles into place, talk about something. You not here. Baby, I'm here. But anyways, vice versa with adult animation, there are adult shows that are animated, like Family Guy, Inside Job, BoJack Horseman. Oh my God, BoJack Horseman. BoJack freaking Horseman. Invincible is another adult show. You know, you know, I think a lot of people just don't understand that, and you know, about animation. But anyways, so they don't watch it. Therefore, they don't watch it. But anyways, if you're looking for representation, literally just Google it. There's a lot of black shows out there to support. I realize that 12% is not a big percent, but that 12% deserves to be supported and advocated for. How do y'all think that these black directors, actors feel when y'all say there's no black TV shows out right now? And then these are the same people who will complain when a black TV show gets canceled. Previously, Papa's House was just canceled. Papa's House was created by Damon Wayans Sr. And Damon Wayans Sr., you know, it's with Damon Wayans Sr. and it's basically with his whole family. You know how, you know, with the Wayans, it's always a family affair. And I saw people complaining about the cancellation, and I'm just like, what did you as an audience member do? Hello. What did you as an audience member do to ensure that the show did not get canceled? One of the best ways to do that as an audience member is to interact with the show as it's airing, to talk about the show, to watch it, so on and so forth. And it's like, I saw people promoting the show before it aired. Like, they'll be like, oh yeah, Damon Wayans Sr. got a new show, the Wayans got a new show, da 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 da. But while the show is airing, the show is airing for like a couple weeks, you know, streaming on Paramount Plus, on CBS, but there's no noise while the show is airing. And it makes, and I will say, I'm guilty of watching the show and not saying anything, but I'm making a conscious effort to not do that anymore, especially me being a media journalist and entertainment journalist. So I talk about, one of the shows that I talk about as it's airing is Ianu. And a lot of people will come up with excuses as to why they won't watch certain things. And this person just said a lot of xenophobic things towards Africans, even, you know, Africans and Nigerians. And I really don't like that. And I really didn't like it. And one of the things that their points boiled down to, you know what? I remember I was so mad. I was mad, but I took notes. Baby, I took my little journal. I be taking notes, baby. I be taking notes. And there will be like, okay, because you will say, okay, here's the thing. Now, before I even get into the whole xenophobic thing, people will make excuses as to why they don't watch the Black shows that do exist. Because I remember I saw this post that said, you know, there's not a lot of Black shows, without stereotypes, blase squaze. And the comments were agreeing, and then somebody replied to the comment, was like, oh, you should watch Abbott Elementary, you should watch The Neighborhood, you should watch XYZ, you should watch Papa's House. And they're like, I'm not gonna watch that. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, they gave you the solution to your problem, and you still didn't take it. So you're a part of the problem. That's how I see it. Like, you are now a part of the problem if you're not a part of the solution. Because how you gonna complain about something, somebody give you the answer, and then now you don't want to say nothing? Thank you, Serena, for the glitter bash. Thank you for the glitter bash. So yeah, I was talking about how, like, I basically made a post calling out Black creators, saying that, oh, thank you for the gift. Oh my gosh. I basically made a post about Black creators, calling out Black creators who would talk about shows before they air, but not while they air, but complain that they get canceled after the fact. And one of the responses, and I was talking about Ianu. I was like, why isn't anybody talking about Ianu? I feel like I'm the only creator talking about Ianu. Now I'm seeing a little bit more creators talking about Ianu, but it's still not enough. We need more interaction, because interaction is how people get renewed. I don't think visibility, I'm not counting on I don't think the show needs awards to validate it. I feel like the show is a good show, so I want to support it. But the thing is, I want to support it, and I want it to be renewed. And I know consciously that, like, it needs high ratings, and it needs high interaction and visibility to be renewed. So I know that. So I'm going to talk about it. Not that it needs awards or anything like that, but let me see. This person, when I started to talk about Ianu, they were being very, 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 very anti-African, which I didn't appreciate. And I'm trying to remember where I wrote down my notes, because I was so angry, but I was like, I'm gonna write down everything you said, and I'm gonna debunk every single point, because I was clear. Okay. And one of the things that he said, because Ianu is a Nigerian animated show, you know, still a Black show, it's just Nigerian. And one of the things they said is that when you're trying to appeal to a mass culture, when you're trying to appeal to a global audience, is that you cannot do it by culture, you have to do it by race. And they're like, oh, Africans are very tribalistic, and they don't understand, like, that entertainment is racialized and not culturalized. And the reason why people, and then he brought up Black Panther, because he was like, oh, Black Panther was connecting all different parts of Africa. That's why people like it, because they could relate to it. And I called that a crock of shit. Yeah, I called it out, and I was like, that's BS, because anime, I didn't say this before, but anime is very popular in America, and it's very it's highly specific to Japanese culture. But anime is still very popular in America. And there are things that are highly culturally specific that is popular in America. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Thank you so much for liking the live. Everything Everywhere All at Once is highly specific to Chinese culture. And it won Best Picture at the Oscars. Not even just that. Not that the Oscars validate anything. But it did so well at the box office. And it's highly, highly specific to Chinese people. So that it has nothing to do with relatability. Ianu not being popular has nothing to do with relatability. And it has everything to do with you being lazy. You don't want to watch the show. That is another reason. You don't want to watch the show and you're just being xenophobic and you're saying, oh, Africans are tribalistic. Africans are tribalistic. Everybody's tribalistic. Even Americans are tribalistic. It just has a different name. You figure it out. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you figure it out. The only thing that's stopping you from watching other forms of Black representation is you being lazy. Yes, clock it. Thank you, Serena. Clock it. You still... And another thing that he said is that Africans are anti-Black, anti-Black American, and they are. But when has something being anti-Black American stopped you from watching something? And I'm not saying that you have to watch these things, but the thing is, I feel like that's an excuse because there has been media out there that has been anti-Black American, yet there are people who have been anti-Black American, yet we still watch and talk about their things. And the thing is, I'm a hypocrite, you're a hypocrite, let's all acknowledge it, and just to say that even though it's anti-Black American or whatever, we still want to watch the show. Because y'all still watch the MCU even though they've been anti-Black. They didn't give a Black person a movie until 2018, even though the MCU started with Blade? Wait, no, hold on. Well, the MCU started with Iron Man. Yeah. The MCU, the real MCU. Well, I don't want to say the real MCU. The first Marvel started with, you know what? Actually, no. I'll say this. The first Marvel movie started with Blade, and they didn't give another Marvel movie to a Black person until 2018. When did Blade come out? Blade came out in the 90s? Yeah. So that's a problem. But y'all still are watching the Thunderbolts. Y'all went to go watch Captain America when it came out. Y'all watch Endgame. Y'all gonna watch Doomsday when it comes out. I know that movie gonna be trash, but you know what? Whatever. You know, y'all hypocrites. And to say that, and another thing is, a lot of people watch things. I already said this before. A lot of people watch things when things fall into their lap. Sinners is doing amazing at the box office, but when it comes to Sinners, the promotion, they had WB, Warner Brothers, a conglomerate, backing the marketing campaign. You also have the superstardom of Michael B. Jordan. You have Haley Steinfeld. You gonna see them even if you don't want to. You gonna see them people even if you don't want to. Sinners was not a hard decision for you to go watch. You didn't have to look for Sinners. Sinners fell into your lap. So that goes to my point again. Y'all only watch things when it's easy. And y'all, I would say the reason why a lot of you, because it's not everybody, the reason why a lot of you watch certain things is because it either has approval, it either has approval in white society, or it's just super popular, or a star is in it. There are some other reasons too, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's important to know that art is a two-way street. You have to seek out art. You can't just wait for a marketing campaign for somebody to get an Emmy or an Oscar or anything like that for you to be like, I'm gonna watch this. No, seek out art. Some of my favorite pieces of media don't got no, or not even favorite, but some of the shows that I watch don't got no marketing. They don't got the marketing budget. So are you only going to watch shows with a huge marketing budget? Like, one of my favorite movies out right now, one of my favorite movies ever is Pinocchio directed by Guillermo del Toro. That marketing campaign, well, hold on. No, that had a lot of marketing. Let me not lie. But one of the shows, well, I guess I would say Invincible Fight Girl did not have that same marketing. One of my favorite shows right now, Moon Girl. Moon Girl is excellent. Not a lot of marketing. I'm still watching it. And another thing. Now let's move on to let's go back to this idea of Black excellence. When I was complaining about Ianu, or when I was complaining about Papa's House getting canceled, one of the comments was, I'm not just going to watch a Black show because it's Black. It has to be Black and good. Black exceptionalism. Because why do Black people have to be Black and good? White people don't have to be white and good. They just have to be good. This idea of not letting Black people just be. I think I'm going to take away the effect. We don't let Black people just be. They have to be Black and. And it always puts them into a box. Y'all, racism puts Black people into a box because it doesn't recognize their depth. It's like, nah, you gotta work 10 times hard. If the people who are, the thing is, even when Black people do work 10 times hard, they're not even recognized. I'm not saying that you gotta watch mediocre shows, and I don't think Papa's House is a mediocre show. I thought it was very funny, and I thought it deserved a season 2. It just didn't have that visibility. Even when Black people are excellent, they don't even get watched. Moon Girl is an excellent, one of the best animated shows on Disney Channel ever. And I've seen many animated Disney shows. Like, in terms, I'm not talking about story. I'm specifically talking about the technique, the medium of animation. The way that it's animated, the color schemes, the comic book panel sort of rendering, the Ben-Day dots that they use, the comic book bubbles, the music. It is excellent. And it still got soft canceled in the middle of season 2. It got canceled. And then we complain that these Black shows don't get renewed, or that they're stereotypical. Moon Girl has none of that. Moon Girl is excellent. Even when we are Black and excellent, we still don't get renewed. We still don't have these things. And that's where I get frustrated. Like, we don't let Black people be. We impose all these standards on them. And even when we do meet the standards, it's not enough. We don't talk about these shows as they're airing. Talk about Ianu, talk about Government Cheese, talk about Forever, talk about what else is airing? Dope Thief isn't airing, but it didn't get renewed for a season 2. I'm not really worried about Forever because Forever already got renewed for a season 2, so I'm not really worried about that. But talk about Government Cheese. Talk about probably gonna wrap this up soon because I feel like I've hit a lot of these points. But when it comes to Blackness, it's never a question of quality, because a lot of Black shows are of quality. But even if they're not of quality, I still think they deserve to be renewed, because the baseline of good television isn't the scale of bad to good. It's actually just like, how entertaining is it? Some of my favorite shows as a child, if I watch them as an adult, I'm like, damn, that show was ass. But it was entertaining. A lot of our favorite shows are not even that good. They're just entertaining. At the baseline, I would like for shows to be good, but if a show is just entertaining, like for example, Bridgerton, I don't think Bridgerton's that good. I really don't. I really don't think Bridgerton is that good of a show, but it is very entertaining, like super entertaining. It's historically inaccurate. It's this, it's that. I don't like the relationships, but it's entertaining. That's why I watch Bridgerton. And I can't wait for season 4 of Bridgerton. The baseline of a show, of people watching shows, is entertainment. It's not even it being good. Because I can pick apart Bridgerton, and I have on my TikTok page. I have picked it apart, and there's so many holes. So many improvements, but it's a very entertaining show at the end of the day. The drama is good. The drama is there. Black people have to be 10 times as good simply because they're black and not because they're artists. We put their blackness first and then their artistry second. And you know, an example of that, there's an interview that, I don't know what channel it was, but I always be wanting to say Michael Kugler, like, but Ryan Coogler was doing an interview on some channel, and somebody said, you're going to be the first black director to XYZ. Because, again, under the white supremacist structure, they're going to see you as black first. Even if they're going to see you as black first. And they're going to, before you have any other titles, before you're anything, they're going to see you as black first. And he was like, you're going to be the first black director to XYZ. And Ryan Coogler was like, I think I'm paraphrasing it, but you're going to understand it in a second. Ryan Coogler was like, you know, when Panther came out, Panther 1, he was like, a lot of people were saying, oh, you're the first black director to this, you're the first black director to that. But nobody acknowledged the fact that in that year, I was the only director, period. I had the highest grossing film of the year. And that speaks to blackness being boxed in. I'm not saying that people shouldn't recognize our blackness. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that because of white supremacy, and white supremacy is also about competition. So acknowledging that a black person is the best at something, period, goes against white supremacy and capitalism. When white people are excellent, we're not like, you're the first white director to do this. You're just the first director. This speaks to whiteness' default. Whiteness is self-insert. If a white person makes a really bad TV show, nobody's ever like, I'm so disappointed. I was hoping for good white representation. But if there's like a bad black TV show, it's like, oh my God, there's not that, they don't have that same, I don't want to say grace, but they don't have that same like, I wish like we could get a good black, I wish I could get a good black TV show. Why is Abbott Elementary the only good black TV show out right now? And it's like, again, white people don't have that pressure of carrying the race, but black people do. And I hate that. I just wish black people could be. I'm not saying that I wish black people could be like white people, but I just think that I just wish black people could just be well, I guess I am. You know what? I am saying that I wish black people could be the way that white people could just be. I do. I do believe that. I do. Thank you, Pretty in Pink. You're interacting great. Thank you so much. That's why it's like this idea of black excellence. That's why I don't really care for black excellence, because even when black is excellent, it's ignored. And sometimes black excellence can only look a certain way, even to black people, you know. I think we should look at black excellence outside of as just excellence sometimes. I wish like we could just be like, oh, I like this TV show because it does this with the characters, it does this with the characters, it has a good plot, it has a good this. And if we dislike a TV show, I wish we could say I dislike the characters because of the plot, the characters of this. But I feel like when you say, oh, I dislike the TV show because it's bad, and it's a black TV show and I don't want black TV shows to be bad, I feel like there's an added weight. I don't want blackness to be mediocre and just accept mediocrity from black people, from black artistry. I don't want things to be mediocre in general. I just don't want the expectation of blackness to having to be excellent all the time. Because it's a faucet of white supremacy. It is. If you made it through this entire video, then I don't even need to explain that. I see blackness as neutral, and I think everybody should. You know? I feel like I covered everything. I feel like I covered everything, and to the people who are watching the playback of this live, thank you so much for coming to the JCU Presents. Thank you so much for attending this. There will be more videos. There will be videos on Gentry Chow. Gentry Chow will be the next live. I don't know if it'll be the next video. It'll probably be the next video, but I'll do a live on Gentry Chow, and it'll subsequently become a video on YouTube and Substack. So tune in for that. We're going to talk about that. And there's also going to be a live talking about Invincible Fight Girl and Moon Girl as, just like as a whole. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe, like, share, do all the things. Thank you so much. See ya!